I wake up to the same old fight, chasing shadows in the night. Promises made, but I let them fade. Caught in the cycle, I'm feeling betrayed. Round and round, I'm losing ground. Trying to break free, but I can't see. These negative patterns are haunting me. Nights turn to days, I'm losing my way. Thought I found peace, but it's led me astray. Chasing the high, but it only brings pain. The more I run, the less I gain.
Hey everybody, hey, and welcome to another session of Tarika Said Again. And today, yes, we are continuing on with relationship and those addictive patterns in depth with this award-winning book. And the topic is how one person that makes you happy, but then in the next minute, that same person makes you sad. That's the question for today. Now, in the beginning of many relationships, a person can feel like everything we've been searching for, we found it in this person. You know, he's this, he's that, she's this, she's that. But then how that very person that you met, you fell in love with, they made you happy, they put this big smile on your face, grinning from ear to ear. You know, people say, oh, you glowing. You feel those butterflies in your stomach. It could just turn or change so quickly. And it becomes that person that used to make you happy. They now make you sad, angry, sick. And that's figuratively as well as literally for some. They disappointing you. So the like or the love that you once felt now has become a dislike or even a burden or disgust. It even gets to a point for some, they want to harm or hurt that person that they once loved or liked. Now, in the early stages when we talk about relationships, we often focus on the happiness, right? That's obvious. The happiness they bring us and the emotional high we experience when we are around them. It's almost like you can't get enough of them, right? But that same emotional intensity that draws the two of you together, it can sometimes become the very force that tears you apart. And that's what we're talking about today. However, when a relationship is built more on emotional dependency than, say, the healthy connection, the feelings can shift quickly. Things change. The very person who once made us feel joy can begin to trigger pain, disappoint, or betray. The emotional high we once felt can turn into now emotional withdrawal, similar to what happens in addictive cycles. And you know, we're always talking about addictive patterns. So now in those addictive cycles, we can see some of those same things. This is where addictive patterns in relationships, they pop up or they appear. Just like with other addictions, when you think about any addiction that you may have, say a drug addiction, a sexual addiction, whatever the case, just like with that, the cycle can move from where it once was pleasure to now it's pain, it's harmful for us. And this could be a domino effect. A partner who once felt like our peace can become the source now of our frustration. Love can shift into resentment. And, you know, we was talking about that last week. And admiration. You know, you once admired this person. You adored this person. And it can turn into dislike or disdain. When hurt runs deep, Some people even begin to feel a desire to hurt the person. That's where you have all these different cases of domestic violence or physical abuse. So, with the physical as well as emotional. But in reality, that shift is often less about the other persons. Now, suddenly we could witness or see changes overnight, and that could be more about those patterns being revealed, those unhealed wounds, the unhealthy attachment. And we know where you hear people get together due to, say, trauma bonds, unrealistic expectations, or toxic behaviors that were overlooked during the excitement of the relation or those beginning stages, right? Because this person is putting this smile on our face. We're feeling this happiness and these butterflies, and you're overlooking those red flags, or you're overlooking those signs that's saying, hey, you might want to look more into this, dig a little bit deeper. Hey, do your research, pick up the phone, question, do a background check. Hell, yeah. Check up on it. Now, understanding these patterns is important because it definitely helps people recognize when they are not just in love, but possibly caught in an emotional cycle. We talked about that last week. So if you missed last week, you need to check it out. When we was talking about that emotional roller coaster, all right? Or the emotional cycle that mirrors addiction, where the highs feel they're incredible. You're on a high, literally. And those lows, they're devastating. But breaking those patterns, in order to do that, it requires awareness. That's number one. Emotional growth and the willingness to evaluate the relationship with honesty. You know, we talk about transparency. Sometimes love alone is not enough to sustain a healthy relationship if the underlying behaviors continue to cause harm. In summation, we want to focus more on healthy. Let me say it again. We want to focus more on healthy connections rather than on how he makes or she makes us feel. Okay? So focusing more on the healthy connections rather than on emotional dependency. Alrighty, y'all. Thank you for tuning in to another session of Tarika Say It Again. And please do not forget to like, share, and subscribe on YouTube, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. Have a good one.